So our next big collaborative effort has been 3MS, Making Measurement Make Sense, which I think is now in its 4th year.
Right.
Yes.
So what we did first with 3MS, and I think everybody in this room has heard about 3MS, even people who are not native English speakers know the term 3MS. The first big push was establishing the viewable impression as currency in digital advertising, moving it from the served impression. Now, we've been experiencing some bumps in the road. The IAB board chair, Vivek Shah, who's sitting over there right now, this morning called for a little bit of slowing down in implementation because vendors have run amok. Agencies are making demands for 100% viewability guarantees that say can't be met. Is 3MS dead?
No.
No.
Absolutely not. It is not dead. We just have to do some tweaking and readjusting. There's no question about anytime you innovate and provide a level of revolution, the size and scale of what 3MS does, there are going to be bumps in the road, but that doesn't mean that you just take it off the rails and do something else. You adjust, you change. In fact, the MRC is about to issue implementation guidelines, which in fact may change some of the conversation and help some of the implementation. Perhaps 100% viewability isn't something that we can achieve now, but something can. Let's remember something very, very clearly, that roughly 1/3 of all digital ads cannot be seen. And right now, marketers are spending billions of dollars for ads that aren't reaching their consumers or their customers. So we have to make it an imperative to fix this and to fix it as quickly as possible. Viewable impressions was a breakthrough concept. I do think that we're close to doing it. Yes, there's some clearly fractious attitudes that are taking place right now because it isn't going smoothly, but it should only be adjusted at this point in time.
I mean, the fact of the matter is that we all agreed from the onset that the situation that we were faced with was completely unacceptable. We have to have standards, we have to have comparability, and it's not going to be an easy thing. It won't be fixed tomorrow, but we have to keep going down that road and adjusting and, importantly, listening to each other. Because I don't think that it's all good saying that the agencies and the advertisers are making unreasonable demands. Okay, tell us what you think is reasonable, and let's work toward that standard.
Yeah, and I know we're now reinstituting the leadership group that we had in the very early stages. Just so you know, in the very early days of 3MS, we gathered senior executives from marketers, from agencies, from media companies, from publishers, and really got them in a room, taped them to the chairs with duct tape, and said, you're not leaving until you reach agreement. What was surprising, I think, it still actually shocks me about that entire process, was how easy it was, especially because we had great work from Bain leading the way, how easy it was to get them to reach agreement about the power of viewable impressions, about making that shift. That when you get reasonable senior executives in a room, they can come to the right place. Implementation is hard.
Sure.
Yeah, but I also think that that reflects on the import of the subject, because getting those senior people to agree to spend that much time working on this is not an easy thing. They have day jobs, but they all recognize the importance of getting to that standard.
Yeah. Now, Bob, you've been talking a lot about the measurement mandate.
Right.
As a kind of, what is the measurement mandate? Is it a new initiative?
Not really. Essentially, the measurement mandate is essentially a call to action for the entire industry to rally around and get aligned. 3MS was essentially the first step in what is going to be a long-standing agenda to make measurement the centerpiece of what this industry needs to move to. If you think about it, nobody owns measurement in our industry. We've essentially outsourced measurement to the profit-making companies that are out there. We have to define as an industry what's important for the publishers, what's important for the agencies, what's important for the marketers, and set that agenda up and then engage the ecosystem to be able to pursue it in an aligned way that optimizes the ability for us to move forward and to be able to take advantage of what we have and taking advantage of all of our assets.
And I think you bring up a really important point, because we did outsource it to the vendors for so long, and we allowed them to get their own proprietary standards, they're not comparable to each other.
That's right.
And getting them to agree that we have to work towards something that you can compare from one platform to another is a really important part of that equation.
And 3MS is a perfect example of what in fact took place. We created those standards. Yes, we're having a little bit of an implementation implementation difficulty, but we're all pointed in the same direction.
Yeah, I want to say, because this is actually a good moment, that Vivek mentioned earlier that one of the chaos problems is we now have 15 MRC. MRC is the Media Rating Council, and it is the long-standing body, 50 years old now, that has done the auditing and accreditation of technology systems throughout the industry. And as part of the work we did in launching 3MS, we helped facilitate, in effect, a reorientation of MRC to become the standard-setting body for all of us. It's done a fantastic job of really doing that. But it still does the auditing and accrediting of technology systems in areas like measurement. So we have 15 viewability vendors accredited, with another, I think, 15 in the pipeline. And as Vivek mentioned earlier, oh my God, that means we've got to adapt to almost 15, 30 vendors, 210 permutations. And one of the interesting challenges that we have is because cost of entry is so low into so many areas of our business, you could have this VC-funded swarm of vendors coming in and kind of addressing a problem with incompatible solutions.
Right.
And so this is part of these are bumps in the road, I think.
Right, but I think we're going to start out with 30. I don't think we're going to end up with 30, but certainly we don't want to fall into a situation where we have a monopoly on the measurement standard either, because we've all dealt with that along the way in other platforms. So I think, yes, okay, right now it seems like it's the wild, wild west, but I do think it will get settled.
Yeah, somewhere between chaos and monopoly lies effective competition.
Exactly.
I'd like to make one point, Randy, and I think that it goes back to your point of collaboration early on. 3MS is a venture that the three of us essentially moved forward with several $1 million of investment. And if successful, and when fully implemented, will unleash billions and billions of dollars of productivity into the system. And that's the power of that collaboration. It didn't take much relative investment to really wield a very hefty axe on an age-old problem.